Hi students, your teacher here, Mr. Sarasinski, with another episode of Algebra 1 Equations Review this time. And this assignment was intended for you to work with a partner, but also it's very good review and practice for the upcoming quiz. So, let's go ahead and get started. I do want to say that I have some exciting news. I did get awarded a new iPad, and so now my stylus that I have will work, and very soon I should have some much nicer annotations. All right, so getting started, we're going to go through multi-step equations, proportions, absolute value equations, and literal equations. Okay, so let's get started. Number 1, distribute. So we get 6x plus 18. Don't forget to distribute that negative to both, so that's negative x minus 4 equals negative 11. Combine like terms. Six x minus x is 5x. 18 minus 4 is 14 equals negative 11. Subtract 14 from both sides. 5x equals negative 25. Divide by 5. X equals negative 5. Okay, number 2. Distribute. Negative 8n plus 32 equals n minus 40. We need to get the variable on one side, and I always like to keep the variable positive, so I'm going to add 8n to both sides. 8n plus n is 9n minus 40 equals 32. Add 40 to both sides. And 9n equals 72. Divide by 9. N equals 8. Okay. Number 3. Distribute. 7y minus 35 plus 3y equals 10y plus 10. Combine like terms. 7y and 3y make 10y minus 35 equals 10y plus 10. And you may be noticing in this moment that the variable terms are going to cancel out, but I'm going to continue to go with this. So we'll move the variable to one side. And we're left with negative 35 equals 10. Now, if your variables cancel out and what you're left with is a false statement, then there is no solution. Number 4, distribute. Let me just erase a little here. Negative 5k minus 10 equals 13 minus k plus 1, because a negative times a negative is a positive. Combine like terms. 13 and 1 is 14. Okay, let's get the variable on one side. I'm going to add 5k to both sides. That will give me 4k. 14 plus 4k equals negative 10. Subtract 14 from both sides, and we get 4k equals negative 24. divide by 4, and k equals negative 6. Okay. Just erase a little bit down there at the bottom. All right, number 5. Distribute the negative. Distribute the negative 2. So we get negative 6 minus 2x minus 7 equals negative 2x minus 12 minus 1. Combine like terms. Negative 6 and negative 7 and negative 12 and negative 1. Negative 6 and negative 7 is negative 13, so negative 2x minus 13 equals negative 2x minus 13, negative 12 minus 1. And in this moment, you can see that we have the same thing on both sides. And I'm going to continue to move forward just so you can see what happens. We got to move the variable to one side. So we add 2x to both sides. And all my 2x's cancel out, and all I'm left with is a true statement. Negative 13 does equal negative 13. If this is the case, then you have infinite solutions. And it looks like a sideways 8. Okay. Number 6. Distribute. We get 8x plus 28 equals 12 minus 20 plus 4x. Okay. Combine like terms. 12 minus 20 is negative 8 plus 4x equals 8x plus 28. Let's get the x's on one side. I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. Okay, those cancel, and negative 8 equals 4x plus 28. I'm going to subtract 28 from both sides. 4x equals negative 36. And then, of course, just divide by 4. X equals negative 9. All right. That is the first page. Moving on. Topic 2, proportions. And hopefully you found these not too challenging. I like to, when I cross multiply, I'm going to do this first one the long way, and then I'll do the second one shorter way. So you cross multiply proportions, okay? So this would look like 7 times x minus 3 equals 5 times x minus 9. Okay? And then we would distribute 7x minus 21 equals 5x minus 45. Get the variable on one side, subtract 5x from both sides. We're left with 2x minus 21 equals 45. Negative 45. Add 21 to both sides, and we get negative 34. I'm sorry, negative 24 equals 2x. And then divide by 2, x equals negative 12. Okay. Now, number 8, I'm going to do this one by distributing as I cross multiply. So, instead of writing it out, 5 times 3x plus 6, well, that is 15x plus 30 equals 6 times x minus 10 is 6x minus 60. Okay, now let's get the variable on one side. Subtract 6x from both sides, and we are left with 9x plus 30 equals negative 60. Subtract 30 from both sides, and we're left with 9x equals negative 90. Divide by 9, and x equals negative 10. Absolute value equations. So in absolute value equations, you have to isolate the absolute value and then set it equal to the positive and the negative. So in our first example, the absolute value is already isolated. So I can say x equals 9, and x equals negative 9. And then in solution set notation, remember I write the solutions from least to greatest, and those are my two solutions. All right, number 10, the absolute value is already isolated, so I can say 6c minus 3 equals 21, and 6c minus 3 equals negative 21. Okay, in both equations, I'm going to add 3 to both sides, so this would be 6c equals 24, and here this will be 6c equals negative 18. Divide by 6 in both equations, and c equals 4, and c equals negative 3. In solution set notation, I'm going to put the smallest solution first, negative 3, 4. All right. Number 11. In number 11, the absolute value is not isolated yet. Before I can set these equal to the positive and negative, I have to get rid of that plus 4 that's on the same side as the absolute value. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, and I get the absolute value of 7m equals 21. Now I have the absolute value by itself, and I can say 7m equals positive 21, and 7m equals negative 21. Divide by 7 in both equations, and you get m equals 3, and m equals negative 3. So in solution set notation, negative 3, 3. Number 12, we have to get rid of the plus 3 and the 5 in order to isolate the absolute value. So first we'll subtract 3 from both sides. We get 5, absolute value of 2n plus 8 equals 30. Then divide by 5 on both sides to get rid of that. And we get the absolute value of 2n plus 8 equals 6. All right. Now that the absolute value is isolated, we can say 2n plus 8 equals 6, and 2n plus 8 equals negative 6. Subtract 8 in both equations, and you get 2n equals negative 2, 2n equals negative 14. Divide by 2, and n equals negative 7 and negative 1. All right. Last two equations, literal equations, which can literally be scary for a lot of people, but don't be afraid. Solve w equals 1/2 x squared y for y. All right, so I need to get rid of everything that's on the same side as y. Okay, how do I get rid of a fraction that's being multiplied? Well, I multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. This will give me 2w equals x squared y. And I'm going to divide by x squared. X squared is being multiplied by y. To get rid of it, you divide. And then y equals 2w divided by x squared. Number 14, solve for a. All right, so we need to get rid of everything that's on the same side as a. First, we add 3b to both sides. Okay, so c plus 3b equals 8a, and then divide by 8. And a equals c plus 3b divided by 8. I am your teacher, Mr. Sarasinski, and this is the way.